Welcome to my video. I'll trust you'll find it helpful and informative. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.
This is the table that you are given. Okay. Then you get the following tax sliding scale. It's given. Don't have to worry about that. And then they give you the additional info here. They say both ZM and MM, they give you the real names. It's Z Martini and M Mafu, receive 13th checks. Okay, so let's indicate that for ourselves, just so that we do not forget who are these two people who get the 13th checks. Now going and giving ourselves the information that we need, the business smooths the tax throughout the year. Okay. To make sure that we don't forget it now, let me even highlight it there. Oh, that's interesting. You cannot highlight in there. Okay, that's okay. Then I'm just gonna put it in a red. I don't want to put the entire thing in the red. Okay. Then they say to us, C now has the use of a company car. So let's put that in there as well, so that we know that he is the guy with the company car. Okay, good. We're going to go and look at the calculations now. We're just making sure that we can. The permanent employees contribute 8% of their basic salary to a pension fund. So 8% of basic. The permanent employees. Who are the permanent employees? Everybody that they tell us is permanent. Because they then say is that these two last guys, F. Low and G. Veldhaven, are part-time employees. So these two guys, then I'm going to just make it a little bit different, just so I can see that they are part-timers. Okay. There are no independent contractors or employees on registered learnerships. The only reason they say that to you is because they already gave the pay as you earn and the skills development remuneration to you in one column. And if there was any independent contractors or people on learnership, then these amounts would differ. That's the only reason. Okay. Only 80% of the travel allowance is taxable. Assume a maximum UIF funding salary of 14,772. All permanent employees belong to HG Medical Aid, a registered medical scheme, and have all provided adequate proof of membership to the employer. The company pays the whole contribution to the medical aid. And then they talk about the tax rebates that apply. Okay. Now they say what we must do is we must complete the table, but in your answer book, but it's the same table, it just doesn't have the question marks. That's why I didn't put down the question marks. Okay, let's now look at ZM, his name is Zain. It's Zain Martini. And if you want to disagree with me, go and speak to him. Okay, I know him. He's a friend of mine. Okay, it's almost my age. Okay, slightly younger. But now, in any case, it says to us that this guy, look here, he gets a salary, he gets a travel allowance, and he gets a commission. But they say to us that as far as the travel allowance is concerned, only 80% is taxable. That is what you see there in point 5. So now when it goes here to the taxable portion of travel allowance, we're going to say, okay, let's take his travel allowance and multiply it with 0.8 to get the taxable portion of his travel allowance. Okay, 80% is taxable. Then obviously you can never get both the use of a company car and the travel allowance. It's always only one of the two if you get any of the two. Okay, so now we've done that. Then we must talk, they say, talk about the taxable portion of the medical aid. Now, if you look at this little table here, They've given you an amount, 1886. And what do they say about the medical aid? They say to you that medical aid, the staff members have the following medical aid contributions and number of dependents. They also say to you, all permanent employees belong to the medical aid. The company pays the whole contribution. If the company is going to pay the whole contribution, then that entire contribution that they are giving you there of 1886 is taxable. Okay. Then they say the taxable portion of the pension fund. Now, what do they say about the pension fund? They say to you, when we talk about the pension fund, permanent employees contribute 8% of their basic salary to a pension fund. 13th checks are also pensionable. Okay. Highlight, the company contribute to the pension fund on a rand for rand basis. Now, the taxable portion of the pension fund is what the company pays. So the company in his case is going to pay his basic, which is just his salary, times 0.08. Okay, 758 rand and 64 cents. That's what the company pays. Okay, we are not done with him yet. Okay, we now say that there is a pension fund deduction. This pension fund deduction, because he is paying and the company is paying, will be the pension fund contribution times 2. Okay. The entire pension fund contribution is deductible. So now, and I'm going to add, well, not going to add a line here now. Now they say we must calculate the pay as you earn contribution salary. So his pay as you earn salary. And now for pay as you earn, I'm going to pick a color. This will be equal to his salary, okay, plus his commission, plus the taxable portion of his travel allowance, plus the taxable portion of the medical aid, plus the taxable portion of the pension fund. That was in there now. That was China. Minus the pension fund deduction. Okay, so let me pick a color here. I said the color that we are going to pick is, I like pink. Okay, it's pink. And what we are saying, in order to calculate that, that is what we do. We use that figure, that figure, that figure, or that figure. In his case, it is the travel allowance, the medical aid, the pension fund, and the pension fund deductions. But remember, this must be subtracted. So let me put it there. Subtract. Okay. Just so that you don't forget that that part is subtract. Everything else is added. Okay. And now we have calculated his pay as you earn or his SDL remuneration.
Can I just ask how we got to that 15,000?
No, it's completely wrong. The point, I missed the point. I did put the point, but the point didn't register. Okay, now let me just say something. Obviously, when you're working on your calculator, these types of things happen. You must be able to look at it and say something is wrong and fix it. Like you did there, just the 15,000 doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the taxable portion of the travel allowance must be less than the travel allowance. Now, this is interesting. So in his case, it comes to 15,338, which is very close to the maximum funding salary for UIF. So we will have to work out the UIF. Now, when we work out the UIF, okay, they say to us, we do not include commission, okay, and we do not include the deduction. That is the difference between the UIF remuneration as the pay as you earn. I'm going to mark them in a yellow. Okay, just to show you that these are the two that we are ignoring in terms of the UIF. Okay, so we ignore those. So now we can say for UIF remuneration, it is equal to his salary plus the taxable portion of the travel allowance plus the taxable portion of the medical aid plus the taxable portion of the pension fund. And now we can say, okay, that amount that we get to there is 13,663.64. It is less than the amount of 14,872 that they gave us. And therefore, we will keep that amount as we calculated it. Don't worry about his pay as you earn due yet. We are going to calculate that separately once I've done everything else.
And because we need to include the 13th check.
And we're going to include the 13th check. That'll be a separate calculation. For now, we're just going to complete the table like this for everybody else. So let's have a look at, his name is Sheldon Nell. Know him well as well. It's actually 65. It's actually 65. I call him Uncle Sheldon. Yes. So Uncle Sheldon, who is completely overpaid, I hate the man, okay, gets the use of a company car as well, they say to us. Now, okay, so let's have a look at this. If we are going to calculate anything, we must first calculate the use of the company car, that thing. So let's make that a green. Okay, so that when I do the calculation here now, you can see how it's done. So what they say to us, and this will be green one, that the car was 192,800 including VAT. When we work with the pensionable part of the company car, we must include the VAT. Okay. Then they say to us that the value of the monthly taxable fringe benefit for the use of the company car is 3.5%. So we can say we're going to take that, we are going to multiply it with 3.5% or 0.035. Same thing. Because I'm working in Excel and not on my calculator, I'm going to, Wuzi says this is easy. I've got it down. You're not teaching me anything new. Perfectly, Wuzi. That's fine.
The UIF.
Okay, now you've got the UIF. Fantastic.
99%.
Okay. So I'm going to say 0.035 given. Okay, that's the same as 3.5%. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply this with 0.8 because they say to me there 80% of this monthly taxable fringe benefit is included times 0.8. Okay, and then I get the amount there of, now I can just say equals to that. I get that amount of 5,398 cents. Okay, now I've calculated it. Okay, now let's have a look at the taxable portion of his medical aid. No problem, we simply read it from the table. It is 4796. Okay, 4796. Done. Okay. The taxable portion of the pension fund will be 8% of his basic salary, which is the same that I did for the previous guy, so I can just drag it down. The deduction will be double that. I can just write it down. Okay, now let's just have a look here. Just for the sake of making my calculations easier, I'm going to include H as well, plus H. Okay. Remember, it won't make any difference because it's always the one or the two. Just because I'm doing in Excel, I want to do this a little bit quicker than going through every single calculation. So now if I say that that is the case, I can say, okay, it is that again. That was not the color. That's the color. Plus, we're going to include the green. Okay. The only reason I've got it in green is because I wanted to show you how the calculation was done. Okay. So that, and that. So now we can say, okay, that is his pay as you earn remuneration will be all those amounts calculated together minus the 10,000 for the pension fund. And it is indeed 69,244.66. Now, clearly, guys, if his basic is way more than 14,872 and his basic is the starting point, then we can simply say that his UIF remuneration is 14,872 because that's the maximum. And 64 something or 69 is way more than that. So we don't have to do any calculation. We can simply see that that is the maximum. Okay. And in this case, I'm not even going to mark it because you can see it's maximum. Maybe we should choose a color for maximum, blue. Okay. So we just put in the maximum. Now we've calculated the UIF remuneration for him. Now we get to the next guy. Okay, it is his name is Martin. It's Martin Mafu. Okay, Martin we call Opa. Okay, because he's really old. He's 72 years old. So we need to be kind to him. Okay. But he's just like, man, for an old man, he's still earning a decent salary. But now look at it. We know that he gets the 13th check, but he doesn't get a travel allowance. He doesn't get a commission. He doesn't, so there won't be a taxable portion of the travel allowance. He doesn't get the use of the company car. So the only things we have to fill in here for him is his medical aid contribution, which is 2,645. And of course, also his pension fund contribution, which is 8% of his basic. Okay. All the time, it's 8% of basic, 8% of basic. And we know that the deduction here will be double the amount because the full amount is deductible. Okay. Now we can simply add these amounts up and we will get to his pay as you earn remuneration. And as is the case with Sheldon, Uncle Martin also pays the maximum UIF remuneration. Doesn't pay it, he gets the maximum UIF remuneration. It means that if these people lose their job tomorrow, UIF is not going to be calculated on these enormous salaries of them. UIF is going to be calculated on the 14,872, and that's it. Sorry for them. Okay. Government doesn't pay for you if you get more. Now we say, okay, let's have a look at the next person. It is S. Thomas. Okay. It's a lady actually. Her name is Shirley. I'm going to forget these names later now. Okay. So
They're going to be different.
yeah, they're going to be different later. So we have Shirley Thomas there, and Shirley gets the basic salary, not a problem. Shirley gets a travel allowance. You see that? No, don't want to do that. She gets the travel allowance and she gets commission. So because she gets the travel allowance, in this travel allowance part, I must take the travel allowance and I must multiply it with 80% or 0.8 again. Okay. Because that is given. Now we say what if she doesn't get the car, use of a company car, the taxable part of a medical aid, well, we must see what she pays. She pays 3,841 Rand. It is given. Okay, so we can just put that in there. And the taxable portion of the pension fund is once again 8%. Double that amount is deductible. And so when we look at her pay-as-you-earn remuneration by adding everything and subtracting the pension fund deduction, we see 47,191. Once again, her basic is way more than 14,872. So her UIF remuneration is simply going to be 18,872. Good.
Can you not do that like right in the beginning, just go to the maximum and put in those amounts? Because you
I find it easier working person by person.
No, but I'm saying, I mean, you could do that.
No, you could do that. You could do that. Okay.
The other figures aren't going to affect that, correct?
No. So now we can look at A. Barnard. It's Anton Barnard. And the reason his name is Anton is because I actually know Anton Barnard. But the Anton Barnard I know is my age. And he's not 24. Okay, so he's also 42.
You're not 43.
No, I'm 42.
Well, you said Martini is a bit younger than you.
I mean, I'm 43. Okay, so old Anton gets a salary there, basic salary. He gets the travel allowance. Oh, sorry, can't do that. Okay, so once again, we're going to calculate his travel allowance as 80% of that. Now I just have to bring it down. He gets a commission as well, doesn't get the company car. His medical aid contribution as well is given to us to 150. And, sorry, just need to prettify this. And his pension fund contribution is also 8%. The company pays that 8%, that's why it's taxable, but the full amount, both what he pays and what the company pays, is deductible. And so we can then just calculate his pay-as-you-earn remuneration as well. Now, in this case, even if we exclude the commission and we exclude the subtraction here, we can still see that his 16,000 basic is still more than the 14,872. So guess what? UIF remuneration is a 14,872. This is not as difficult as you thought it was. No?
That's nice.
Okay. Now, when we come here to the two part-timers, okay, the two part-timers is old Francois Low and young Gerard Veldhuizen. He, in fact, is the little nephew of Sheldon. Always forget Sheldon's name. Okay. Now, in the case of the one, in the case of Francois, it says that he works 28 hours. There in point number 4, where they talk about the employees. Now, when Francois works 28 hours, he's going to contribute to UIF because 28 is more than 24. But young Gerard is not going to contribute to UIF because he didn't work the minimum 24 hours. Okay, so in this case, it's simple. Really, none of this is applicable to the part-timers. So his pay-as-you-earn remuneration in both their cases is simply equal to their basics. There's nothing else to calculate there. Okay, but remember, in the case of the one guy who works less than the 24 hours, there is no UIF, but in the case of the other guy, the UIF is the same amount as his pay-as-you-earn remuneration. Because in his case, it's a basic, and that amount is less than the 14,000. The moment it's less than the 14,000, we are going to put it in there. And just for the sake of keeping things the same, we are going to keep it gold. Okay. Okay, so this is now wonderful, because now what we can do is we can complete the totals. Guys, complete the totals.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you found it valuable, please subscribe and like. Thank you.